Hello, guys. Here for another episode of Penny for My Thoughts. I don't have any tea today because it's kind of hot and the tea warms you up. But this is another episode of Penny for My Thoughts, coming here to give my thoughts. Today, I want to talk about being outspoken, how I feel about being outspoken, and I feel like it is a privilege to be outspoken, but I feel like it's a way that you have to go about it. I'm an outspoken person. As you can see my video, I'm an outspoken person. I am an individual thinker, so I have my own thoughts. I don't like, being a follower. I don't like going on with what's the popular opinion on things. I have my own opinion, and I don't like to be for my opinion to be influenced by anything else. I like to be neutral about things and I have my own perspective, but I'm very outspoken. I feel like outspokenness, there's a negative it's put in a negative category, and it's really, I feel like it's put in a negative category because of people that are outspoken and they make it negative. Like, it's, to me, you can be outspoken and say what you have to say and say how you feel, but it's also a level of having integrity with it and having respect for people and to provide a worthy perspective of your outspokenness. But outspoken also comes with people that make it negative, where they want to drag people, or you know arguments, or just be loud. And me, I feel like just because you're loud doesn't mean that people are going to respect you. Loudness doesn't equate to being outspoken. You can be outspoken quietly and still stand your ground and still say what you mean and mean what you say. But there are some that just want to drag everybody and be loud and scream and everything else. And I mean, sometimes that gets results, but it's usually gets results from the people that are like them, that do that. But I feel like you can say what you need to say, but be respectful. Respect other people's opinions. Like, your perspective isn't always what's more important. And also realizing that everybody is not going to like what you say. Everybody is not going to like how you say it. Even with being outspoken, even if your intentions are good, there are going to be people that that they don't like how you said it. And you just have to learn that. And me, myself, I got to learn that every day. I come on here and I don't know if someone would like the way I say it, or if we were talking about like social media. And sometimes when things are written, they look different than you just actually saying them. Or sometimes you saying them can feel a certain type of way to a different person. So I can't really say that, even if you follow all the positive outspoken steps, that you're not going to run into trouble, because there's going to be somebody, that they get triggered, or they don't like what you said, or how you said it, even though you try to be respectful, you try to convey your point of view in a positive manner, but it didn't equate to that person of your outspokenness. But but that shouldn't deter you from being outspoken, because I feel like being outspoken is very freeing. Being outspoken allows you to live in your truth, allows you to say the things that you want to say. It also just frees weight off of your chest, and just getting it out there. Like, it frees the thoughts in your mind. It is just very freeing being outspoken. And it also it also reaches other people that are just like you. They may have the same perspective as you do, or They may have thought about they may have thought about, something you've said before, but you saying it makes them feel seen. So those are the positive aspects of being outspoken. Being portrayed as being outspoken can come with just the negativity because, like I say, there's people that just make it so negative. So you can say sometimes that, hey, I'm an outspoken person, and someone can say, oh, well, let me just stay away from them because they're outspoken. I don't know what they might say, how they are, that person can think that they're better than anybody. Like, so even though it has its pros and its cons, and but like I said, it's very freeing to be outspoken, but it's levels. Like I feel like you have to have some integrity when you be outspoken, even certainly about certain subjects. You do, and to have good intentions and to be respectful, because you may not be the only outspoken person. You may meet another outspoken person, and you both have different views, but you have to meet in the middle, just give a better perspective with both of your outspokenness. But outspokenness is it's very freeing. And there you can not grow up outspoken, and then when you get older you grow up outspoken, or you can be outspoken as a child. I was very outspoken as a child. As I gotten older and I grew and just evolved, I become even more outspoken. Now there were times where, just being a young adult and a teenager, I wasn't so much outspoken. I went through my phases, and I kind of just was like, I don't want to talk about anything. I just kept everything inside. And once I got older, more of my outspokenness as me as a child has came coming out. And just evolving and being just more free, and I'm more free in my thoughts and my expression, which is a part of being outspoken. But there, when we talk about the negative aspects of outspokenness, there's people that want to drag everybody, and they're just loud, and well, no, and this and that, and oh, I don't believe it, and you're this and you're that. Like they're attacking people, and just use it as an excuse of saying, oh, well, I'm just outspoken. No, you're rude and outspoken. You're outspoken, but you're rude. Like, or they're just attacking people. Oh, well, I don't like what she wearing, or I don't like what he got on, or this and that. Well, I'm just being outspoken. No, you're rude and you're a bully. Now, that has its lines too, because you can just be comical. Like, I'm also a person that's very comical. Like, I crack jokes all the time, but I try to be respectful too. I don't just go up to people and be like, well, you look a mess, or you this and that. Like, that's bullying. That's disrespectful. And that's not being outspoken. So I feel like, it outspokenness is good in the right hands, but when it's in the wrong hands and it's being used to bully people, then that's not outspokenness. Or being outspoken is not calling somebody out or calling out what they're doing in their life, and you say, well, I'm just being outspoken, meanwhile you have all this other stuff in your own life, and you don't say anything about your own stuff. I feel like that's a thing too, because I'm the type of person, like, before I say anything to anybody else, I have already evaluated myself 5 times before I say one time to somebody else. I've already evaluated myself 5 times. I am a very big self evaluator. I don't want to give anybody any advice. I don't want to tell anybody what they should have done if I haven't thought about it first, and if I don't apply it to myself. And with myself, I am my biggest, like, I'm very hard on myself, but I feel like I'd rather that than to be in denial about my own issues, about my own problems, and then go tell somebody else, oh, well, you need to do that, and I'm just being outspoken about it. No. I mean, that's kind of hypocritical, if that's a word. being a hypocrite. You're being a hypocrite because nobody's perfect, and I know I'm not perfect. Sometimes I say by myself, I'm not even halfway normal, whatever that is. Forget perfect. I'm just trying to be a decent human being every day. I don't even know what perfect even means. But, I feel like in the wrong hands, outspokenness just it could be so negative, and it puts a negative notation for a lot of us that are outspoken and we just have good intentions. I just see like and people are outspoken in person, and when we talk about social media, that's a whole its own issue because people are very super outspoken on social media, and the majority of the time you see it's negative sometimes. Not saying that it's not, but the majority of the time you see is negative because those people are the loudest people, and I've seen just people just being negative for no reason. It could be the most innocent thing, and then they just say, "Well, I'm just speaking what everyone thinks," or "I'm just speaking what everyone." No, not everyone thinks like that. Not everyone wants to go online and just attack people. Not everyone wants to go outside and just attack people for no reason because they're just unhappy. That's not being outspoken. That's you're just bullying people. But I really think there's some levels to it. I really feel like, you gotta have integrity. If you're gonna if you're standing on, you're being outspoken and stand on a good cause, then people will respect you. Like, even if they didn't agree with you, they're like, that person, like, they have a good point, and they're being outspoken about it. Outspokenness has helped a whole lot of things. Outspokenness has saved lives. Outspokenness has brought attention to a lot of problems, a lot of things that you thought that wasn't problems, and it is. Outspokenness has stopped a whole lot of things in a whole lot of categories. Outspokenness has brought people together, has brought in just people and companies and groups together and causes is what outspokenness does. So though that is the positive aspect of outspokenness, but then again the negative aspects of outspokenness is how it has started fights and very serious things of being outspoken. It has, and whether it was put out as positive or negative, outspoken has caused danger too, and that's the con of it. Because even though people are outspoken, they have spoken up for a cause and they had good intentions, and someone didn't like their outspokenness just because they were not the best type of person, and they will go do something to that person, or bully that person and have other people bully them. That's a con of outspokenness too. And that's one of those things where the person didn't come with bad intentions. They weren't bullying no one. They weren't putting out a bad message. They were just being outspoken about a cause, and it made something happen to them about it. And that is, like I say, one of the cons of being outspoken. And that's sad, but it's being outspoken has risk too. Even the good intentional outspokers has its risk. Like I say, like I come on here and there can be someone that doesn't even like what I say, even though my intentions are very good. They might be triggered, or, and I've seen it. I've said things, just being outspoken on social media, and completely not trying to go in a negative direction or anything, and someone may take it wrong. So it's like sometimes it don't matter what you do. You're being outspoken. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not always going to be a good outcome. So that's the thing too. When I try to look at it on all sides, not just the side of saying, okay, it's just the people that are negative that's bringing negative energy. No, you can be outspoken and positive, and be outspoken and talk for a cause, and that brings negative energy. Just because whoever don't agree with you just don't agree with you to a dangerous level. And in the end, you still have to be outspoken, because it's outspokenness sometimes is just in you sometimes. And then sometimes, it wasn't in you, like I say, like you gotten older as adult and it wasn't in you, and you grew, and you just got tired of something, or you just was just fed up with some type of issue or treatment of yourself or other people. You become outspoken, and you think to yourself, well, you know what, I'm good at being outspoken. I feel good being outspoken. And then you just go on just being an outspoken person, and you just free yourself. Outspoken is freedom. But how do you use the freedom? It's not just being loud. It's not bullying people. It's not what they call dragging people and then saying you're outspoken, because that's not for any type of cause, but a negative one. And even kids are outspoken, and some kids are too outspoken. I mean, I don't remember, but I probably was one of them. That was too outspoken and probably said a whole lot of things I shouldn't say. So when it comes to like kids being out, you can't really, but you do got to direct them though. Like, hey, you can't say that, and or stuff like that. And that's where that comes from. But then there's like some outspoken kids, outspoken parents. Sometimes there's some outspoken kids and they say inappropriate things, and the parents won't correct them, or the parents will repeat it, or the parents and the kids, the parent is just like the kid, and they, and see, and those things I have an issue with. Like if your child is just cussing everybody out, and you saying, oh well, they're just outspoken, and then you the same thing, like that's not. And then when they get older, they're not going to understand that outspoken has levels. Outspokenness is something that you need to have good intentions with. I wouldn't mind if my child was outspoken, but I would also direct, like, okay, there's things that you say, there's things that you don't say. But, and like I said, I mean, I know as a child myself, I was very outspoken, and I'm pretty sure there were some things I said I didn't say, but I had people there to guide me and say, okay, you don't say that, don't do this, don't do that. So, and sometimes even with myself, like even I'm an outspoken person, there's times I've had to pull back and be like, maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Maybe I shouldn't have too much attitude in it. Maybe I shouldn't have too much animation in it, because I don't want it to come off the wrong way. And then there's been times where I just don't care, because sometimes if a person push you, sometimes you got to use your outspokenness to tell them, look, you're not gonna do whatever you want to do to me, or say whatever you want to say to me. You're not. So that's when you have to use your outspoken as a protect yourself type thing. Like, don't let anyone bully you. Don't let anyone say whatever they, or embarrass you for no reason. That's when you do have to be outspoken. And that includes your family, your spouse, your job, your company, corporation, your everyday life around people. You do have to take up for yourself and use your outspokenness, especially if you're very good at it. You can be outspoken at your job and speak up for yourself, but do it in a proper way. I do it all the time. The way I act in person is the way I act at my job too. And being outspoken and saying, "Hey, well, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I wasn't, brought here for this or that." Now, if your job if you say it in a respectful way, but you're also being outspoken and you're being real, then they should respect. Okay, well, they don't agree with this, or they don't agree with that. Now, if you have one of those jobs that just it's a toxic environment, and you can't even, be outspoken even the slightest, then you need to get away from them. You do. But being outspoken is very freeing. It really is. You're saying how you feel, and it works for a cause, especially when you're speaking for a cause, charity, or issues, because there's always an issue in the world every day. And if you can also have perspective of, okay, well, my perspective isn't the only perspective that matters, but I'm going to be outspoken about mine. And, I may have people that agree, I may have people that don't agree, but, at least I am making a stand of where I stand. Being outspoken also means making a stand of where you stand. Where you stand on this subject, where you stand on that. What are your thoughts? What are your perspective? I feel like, we have right to be outspoken. As humans, as everybody don't have the same brain. Everybody don't have the same thoughts. Even though I know that social media sometimes make it that way, sometime and appears that way sometimes. But there's those in the midst that have their own opinion. And like, what ground do you stand on when it comes to being outspoken? But like I say, outspoken isn't just being loud and dragging everyone for filth. It's not. But I know sometimes that's entertaining to people, though. And people applaud that because it's entertaining. Like, oh, this person told this person off, and they this and that. Like, it's like, okay, you're telling them off, but like, did they do anything to you? Me, like I said, I'm very outspoken. I've told some people off, but it was because they was doing something to me or somebody I cared about, or I just felt like they were just being a bully to somebody. And I'm very big on, since I'm outspoken, I'm very big on, I said what I say, because I don't like to say something and then someone switches my words around, or I call it sprinkling seasoning on my words. Or I have this other saying where if I serve you a dish, don't change it up and serve something different. If I serve you fish, then fish is what I served you. I didn't serve you steak. I didn't serve you chicken. I served you fish. Since I'm outspoken, I take it very seriously. I take what I say very seriously. And I don't like my words to be sprinkled around or switched around, or even like assumptions, because outspokenness also helps people not have assumptions of what you say or what you mean or how you think, because you've already told them how you think. You've already told them what do you feel about the situation. So now, but then again, there's also some people that aren't truthfully outspoken because they may feel a different way or think a different way, and they're going to be outspoken about whatever they want to be outspoken about, just because everybody else in the room is being outspoken about that. And that's not really outspoken, because really you're just doing that for attention, or you just doing that because you want to follow the in crowd. Is that really what you feel in your mind? Is that really what you feel in your heart? Is that really what your perspective is? That's when outspokenness isn't just true. And I've seen it. I've seen people, be outspoken about things, and then maybe they'll say later, well, really, I didn't feel that way. I was just saying that because everybody, like, that's not outspokenness, though. That's you're being a follower. And outspokenness is also not really being a follower. Maybe you may, maybe get a perspective and then maybe agree at some point, but you still have your stance. But outspokenness is not really being a follower too much. But then, like I say, there are some that 1 minute they're outspoken on one side of the room and they have a stance, and then on another side of the room, depending on who they around, their outspoken changes. And that's not called being outspoken, that's called being fake and two-faced it. And that is a problem too. That's where you start blurring the lines of being outspoken. I mean, and not only that, if you're going to be outspoken and say something, keep your same energy. Keep your same energy. If a person asks you, hey, did you feel this way, did you say that, don't switch up, because that's not being outspoken. That, as I say, that's you being fake and being two-faced, and you're not really going on what you said or how you really feel. Like, you can't change how you really feel depending on who you're around. And I always have this analogy too of, like, I feel like I'm so outspoken that I can be in a crowded room of 100 people, and everybody can have they're the same thing. And if I feel different, I'm going to say it. I will be that one person in a room full of 100 people. And I'm still going to be outspoken of my stance and how I feel about whatever the situation is. And, not be influenced because I don't feel like it's popular amongst the other group, or I don't feel like it'll be perceived well, or, I'm afraid. Like, no. If you feel like, if it's a good argument, if it's if you have a worthy perspective, no matter if your perspective isn't as good as theirs, if you feel like your perspective is worthy, then be outspoken about it. I mean, you can be in a crowded room, and one side can say, they like the color blue, and then it's just you, and you're just like, well, my favorite color is green. And then they all start, oh, well, why do you like green? And our favorite color is blue, and my favorite color is green. And just the whole time, my favorite color is green, and that's just what I mean. And everyone gets upset with you and then you're like, well, hey, here's my argument why my favorite color is green. We're all different people. Shouldn't we all have our own? Shouldn't we have our own preferences? And someone might say, you know what? They don't have too bad of an opinion. They have a proper argument of why that they have been outspoken about them not liking the color blue, and they rather have the color green. So sometimes your outspokenness can change perspectives of others. Or your outspokenness can show that you can stand on your own 2 feet and you don't need a crutch from anybody or anything. And like I say, outspokenness has saved lives. Stuff has happened to people, and there has been people like, look, I don't care what everybody else is doing. This is not going to happen. This is not going to stand. Period. Outspokenness in the right hands has made things happen and given perspective. So those are the good things and the pros about being outspoken. Freeing. Outspoken has not only just saved lives, but kept people from doing things to themselves, or other people from doing other things to other people. That's what outspokenness is. People have protests about things. That's outspokenness. Now, that has its lines too, because there's the positives and the negatives. But like I say, what is the perspective intentions? If you have a worthy perspective, worthy intentions, worthy of saying, I'm outspoken because it is. Now, like I say, if it's negative and you just want to just bully people, then that's not being outspoken. Or if you just want to be fake and two-faced it, then that's not being outspoken. Also, you have to keep your same energy. If you're going to be outspoken with other people, and then you don't want to be outspoken with your friends or whichever, that's not outspoken either. Because if you're outspoken with strangers or other people, and then it comes to your friends and they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and then you want to be their yes man, then you're not fully an outspoken person. That's kind of like the two-faced thing. Like, your friends are fine, or your family or whatever, they're fine doing what they're doing, but somebody else do it, you have a problem with it, and you're being outspoken about it. But the people that's close to you can do whatever they want to do, and you just being their yes man. To me, I feel like that's not fully being outspoken. I feel like you have to keep your same energy with everybody. Your family, your friends, strangers, your job, keep the same energy. Don't get quiet around certain people or certain times and then you're loud and outspoken around other people around at different times with different scenarios. And I like pride myself on that. If I'm going to tell a stranger, they why do this or why do that, or maybe you should not do that. I'm going to tell that to my friends. I'm going to tell that to my siblings, my mom and my daddy, and me. You can ask anybody in my family. I keep my same energy. And even if I don't come off and just say it, if the conversation come up, I'm going to say it. I can be direct and indirect all in the same sentence. But I really feel like outspokenness and outspoken people sometimes have a negative like cloud over it because of the misuse of it by people. But I don't know. I'm just a person, and this is just my thoughts and my perspective on it. And I've always just felt that way. Like, you know, why do like people that are outspoken sometimes certain people hear people that are outspoken, they're like, well, I don't want to deal with them, or they're going to be mean or this and that. And I feel like that's an assumption. Like I really do. I feel like that's an assumption. That's like a person looking at a person's facial expression and like, oh, well, they're a mean person, and they just, and I mean, you don't even know them. So that's just one of those things. But as I always say, live in your truth. If you're outspoken, be outspoken, but do it in have some integrity and have some respect, and respect yourself and respect others. And sometimes your outspokenness, I'm a person, I'm very humorous, so a lot of my outspokenness, I always add humor in it too. That kind of break the ice sometimes too, and not have people feel like you're coming from a bad place. But that's just me. But this was a penny for my thoughts. I wanted to come in here and talk to you guys. I'm going to try to do these penny for my thoughts, like longer videos, at least once a week or twice a week. I haven't really decided really what's the sweet spot, but I'm going to. So you will see me again. In the meantime, I'm going to be still putting up my quotes and my real talk videos. But my name is Vanessa. And like I always say, keep your mental healthy and live in your truth.